Cultural Affairs for the City of Portland. Quote, "It's ironic that those who till the soil, cultivate and harvest the fruits, vegetables, and other foods that fill your table with abundance, have nothing left for themselves." Cesar Estrada Chavez. On behalf of City Manager Joe Gray, Portland City Council, I'd like to again welcome you. Cesar Chavez was born March 31st, 1927, near Yuma, Arizona. Chavez was named after his grandfather, who escaped from slavery on a Mexican ranch and arrived in Arizona during the 1880s. Chavez's grandparents homesteaded more than 100 acres in the Gila Valley and raised 14 children. Chavez's father, Librado, started his family in 1924 when he married Juanita Estrada. Chavez was the second of their 6 children. Librado worked on the farm ranch and owned a store in the Gila Valley. The family lived in an apartment above the store. This begins the story of Cesar Chavez. We're very, very honored and pleased to be able to do the second annual Cesar Estrada Chavez Recognition and Leadership Awards ceremony. Welcome to Portland City Hall. In order to get us started and to learn more about Cesar Chavez and to talk about our awards this evening, I'm pleased to be able to introduce 3 very, very important people and community activists. I'll introduce them all now, and they'll come up one by one. We're able to talk with Winston McGill, who's the president of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, the Portland branch. Grace Valenzuela, the president of the Asian American Heritage Association. And the Reverend Virginia Marie Rincon, the state director for the League of United Latin American Citizens. Please welcome them in that order.
We're recognizing a great civil rights leader. I think the best way to appreciate the life and accomplishments of Cesar Chavez are to follow his lead. The great ones knew there is strength in being united, building coalitions and relationships. We have to ensure that as a community, as members of different group affiliations and ethnicities, that we stick together and take the high moral ground, stand strong together. A number of us in this room have now marched together, and I relate that to standing together in battle. We are bonded in a common cause for justice. I can assure you the NAACP will always stand with our brothers and sisters of all colors, freedom fighters, following the lead of one of the great ones, Cesar Chavez. Thank you.
One of the most important lessons we can learn from Cesar Chavez is his ability to gather together diverse groups of people, allow them to learn from one another's shared histories of oppression, and unite them in a common cause of justice for all. As a community activist, I look for heroes who succeed in achieving unity in the face of diversity and adversity, as well as heroes who show us the way toward collaboration, communion, and solidarity. Certainly, Cesar Chavez is such a hero. In one of his speeches, Cesar said, "Our sweat and our blood have fallen on this land to make other men rich. This pilgrimage is a witness to the suffering we have seen for generations. Our men, women, and children have suffered not only the basic brutality of stoop labor and the most obvious injustices of the system, they have also suffered the desperation of knowing that the system caters to the greed of callous men and not to our needs." Who are these suffering people that Cesar referred to? There are several groups of people I can name whose sweat and blood have continued to provide the bounty we enjoy on our dinner tables. It is the sweat and blood of African slaves who sustained the plantations in the South. It is the sweat and blood of Filipino laborers toiling in the fish canneries of Alaska. It is the sweat and blood of Japanese, Chinese, and Hawaiian sakadas who cut sugarcane in the Hawaiian Islands. It is the sweat and blood of Mexican migrant farm workers harvesting blueberries in Maine, potatoes in Idaho, apples in Washington, grapes in California and oranges in Florida. And closer to home, it is the sweat and blood of immigrant laborers shelling lobsters, peeling shrimp, and cleaning fish on Portland's waterfront. While we may have different histories as peoples, Cesar reminds us that we are bound by our common understanding of oppression. Quote, "It is not good enough to know why we are oppressed and by whom. We must join the struggle for what is right and just. And there is no shortage of work," end of quote. And there is no shortage of work to achieve social justice in the world, in this country, and in the state of Maine, and in the city of Portland. There is work to be done to end child labor and the trafficking of women. There is work to be done to ensure health care and decent wages for all who labor. There is work to be done to guarantee affordable housing and freedom from hunger. On this occasion of Cesar Chavez's birthday, let us remember his words of wisdom which guide us as a community of people working towards the common good. Quote, "We cannot seek achievement for ourselves and forget about progress and prosperity for our community. Our ambitions must be broad enough to include the aspirations and needs of others for their sakes and for our own," end of quote. We shall endure. Viva la cosa.
Good afternoon, buenas tardes, bienvenidos. There's a great prophet, Micah, who says, "What does God require of you but justice, mercy, respect, and dignity, and definitely perseverance?" Había una profeta que le decía en Micah, que decía, ¿qué requiere Dios? Solamente justicia, respeto, dignidad y perseverancia. Cesar Chavez era un profeta profundo y fuerte. Cesar Chavez was someone who led with a lot of power. I am proud today to be standing here as one of the recipients of an award last year. But I don't come here to speak of that. I come here to speak of those that are persevering, leading with respect and dignity. Those are the things that Cesar Chavez was about. And those are the things that make a good leader. And we must remember that. Vengo ahora para acordarnos de Cesar Chavez y también para reconocer los que están ahí pisando fuerte con las cosas de justicia adelante. We have real life stories that are happening. Tenemos historias vivas que están pasando. Some are fortunate, some are unfortunate. But we have had a good role model in Cesar Chavez. But we also have living stories before us that will be recognized for their perseverance, their dignity, and respect for humanity. We thank Cesar Chavez for being the role model.
I want to just take a brief moment to recognize 2-year-old Donald, counselor, who's off to a meeting, and recognize that the city manager, Joe Gray, was here as well. I also want to just take a brief moment to recognize Ben Giuliani, who's the president of El Centro Latino, and Ben helped us do this award last year in recognition of Juan Perez Fables and Reverend Virginia Marie Rincon. He joined John Connors in their fight with LULAC last year, so I really want to thank him for being here. And also recognize the former president of the NAACP, Moses Sabunya, who's here. So thank you both for joining us. It is my pleasure to welcome the mayor of the city of Portland for his remarks, Mayor Nathan Smith.
It's always a pleasure to honor people who work for social justice in our community. And that's what I'm here to do today. And we're going to be honoring 3 people. And we're going to start with Juan Gonzalez. Juan. I'm I will be more brief with the second two people. I will focus on the part that is particular to them, but I'm starting out talking about Cesar Chavez. This is a proclamation, the Cesar Estrada Chavez recognition honoring Juan Gonzalez. Whereas Cesar Chavez was born March 31st, 1927 on a small farm near Yuma, Arizona, the grandson of Mexican immigrants, and grew up working with migrant farm workers, during which time he developed a strong work ethic and respect for their livelihood. And whereas after serving 2 years in the United States Navy, Cesar Chavez began organizing farm workers to campaign for safe and fair working conditions, reasonable wages, decent housing, and the elimination of child labor. And whereas in 1962, Cesar Chavez, along with Dolores Huerta, founded the National Farm Workers Association, later to become the United Farm Workers of America, which through his tireless leadership and nonviolent tactics focused national attention on the importance and dignity of farm workers, thereby securing historic protections and workers' rights to which all Americans aspire. And whereas Cesar Chavez and his family also dedicated themselves to the education of farm workers' children through migrant schools, many of whom graduated and pursued careers in medical, teaching, and other professional occupations. And whereas in April 1993, Cesar Chavez was laid to rest on the grounds of the headquarters of the United Farm Workers of America, where he had lived and worked for 23 years. He was remembered as a man who, with faith and discipline, soft-spoken humility, and amazing inner strength, led a courageous life, inspiring all Americans to work nonviolently for social change. And whereas in 2003, in the spirit of honoring the lifelong mission of Cesar Chavez, the City of Portland established the Cesar Chavez Leadership Award, Si Se Puede, to recognize those individuals who have advanced the promise of equality for all. And whereas the city wishes to honor Juan Gonzalez for continuing the legacy of Cesar Chavez through his dedication to social and economic justice and demonstrated leadership in actively promoting civil rights in our community. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Nathan H. Smith, Mayor of the City of Portland, Maine, do hereby recognize on this occasion, marking the second annual Cesar Chavez recognition ceremony, the birthday and lifelong accomplishments of Cesar Chavez and Juan Gonzalez as a recipient of the Cesar Chavez Leadership Award, Si Se Puede, signed and sealed this 31st day of March 2004. Nathan H. Smith, Mayor, City of Portland, Maine. And whereas the city wishes to honor Louise Rocha McCarthy, did I pronounce that correctly, for continuing the legacy of Cesar Chavez through her efforts at promoting multilingual, multicultural education and literacy, serving as an interpreter and translator in raising awareness of cultural diversity, utilizing a variety of media sources. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Nathan H. Smith, Mayor of the City of Portland, Maine, do hereby recognize on this occasion, marking the second annual Cesar Chavez recognition ceremony, the birthday and lifelong accomplishments of Cesar Chavez and Louisa Rocha McCarthy as a recipient of the Cesar Chavez Leadership Award, Si Se Puede, signed and sealed this 31st day of March 2004, Nathan H. Smith, Mayor, City of Portland. Blanca. And Blanca Santiago as a recipient of the Cesar Chavez Leadership Award, Si Se Puede, signed and sealed this 31st day of March 2004, Nathan H. Smith, Mayor, City of Portland. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Smith. It's now my pleasure, I hope that you will join me in welcoming Michael Fortunato. He's the Postmaster for the City of Portland, the United States Postal Service. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel. It is indeed an honor to be here today representing the United States Postal Service, District of Maine, at this ceremony. The Postal Service has a long tradition of celebrating all aspects of life through its national stamp program. From sports to politics, from history to the arts, postage stamps reflect the great variety and quality of life here in America. Part of that quality of life comes from the commitment of hardworking American citizens like Cesar Chavez, a man who dedicated his life to improving living conditions for migrant workers in America. As the founder of the United Farm Workers of America, Cesar Chavez was a tireless advocate for nonviolent social change and dedicated his life to working in service of others. For more than 3 decades, Chavez worked to achieve respect, fair wages, medical coverage, education, and humane living conditions for hundreds of thousands of farm workers. On April 23rd of 2003, the 10th anniversary of Cesar Chavez's death, the Postal Service was proud to issue a stamp honoring his life and contributions. Here in Maine, the Postal Service is equally proud to recognize 3 people whose careers are similarly dedicated to improving the lives of others. The first person I'd like to recognize is Blanca Santiago, a woman who has worked with diversity and immigrant issues for over 20 years. Most recently, Blanca has been working with the Maine Department of Labor in Migrant and Immigrant Services. As a bilingual liaison and employment and training counselor, she has assisted migrant workers and immigrant populations with assessing employment opportunities. Next month, Blanca joins the Maine Migrant Health Program as a community site coordinator for the Farm Worker Health and Safety Project. In that capacity, she will work to keep Maine's migrant community safe and their families healthy, and we appreciate her efforts and support those important goals. The second person I want to honor tonight is Juan Gonzalez, the owner of La Bodega Latina. La Bodega Latina is a place that provides Maine people with the tastes, sounds, and cultural heritage of Latin America. But far more than being a wonderful grocery store right here on Congress Street, it is a community gathering place for people from all over the world. A place where Maine's immigrant population can find a friendly face, a hand of support, an ear to listen, and a word of encouragement. In addition to being a successful businessman and role model for the youth of Portland, Juan is a tireless advocate for Hispanic and Latin Americans. He has been a vocal spokesperson for the rights of Maine's immigrant population and has worked to ensure that civil rights are upheld and protected for all people. Juan's ongoing efforts help improve the lives of countless people in Maine as well as across this country. Thank you, Juan. And last but hardly least, tonight the Postal Service is pleased to honor Louisa Rocha McCarthy. Louisa is a parent community specialist for Latino students in Portland Public Schools. In that capacity, she works as an interpreter and translator. She is also responsible for organizing Maine's only multilingual, multicultural library. That library includes materials in 24 languages. Louisa has also worked as a nurse and as a writer for various publications and radio stations and founded Maine's first Latino and African radio shows. And she has provided interpreter services to numerous civic, state, and business organizations. Migrant workers are key contributors to the success of dozens of economic and agricultural efforts here in Maine, from Aroostook County to York County. And the ongoing efforts of all of these people have helped to provide Maine's migrant community with an improved standard of living, including civil rights, better educational opportunities, reasonable wages, and improved working conditions. These 3 people have been an inspiring force in our community. They carry on the work that Cesar Chavez began and pay tribute to his legacy by working in service of others. On behalf of the United States Postal Service, I am pleased to present each of these honorees with an enlargement featuring our Cesar Chavez stamp in honor of their efforts on behalf of working men and women here in Maine. An enlargement for each of you, and we hope that I'm also pleased this evening to present a framed enlargement of the stamp to the City of Portland. And I'd like to present that to Rachel for their promotion of tolerance and their support of diversity initiatives which make our community a better place in which to live and work. You're going to share that?
Yes.
Thank you very much, Lynn. Now what you've all been waiting for, the best part is to hear from our recipients, Juan Gonzalez, Luisa Rocha McCarthy, and Blanca Santiago. Take a brief remark.
Right. Thank you. Thank you. It's a really honor for me to receive a recognition for a man fight for the right and the life of the immigrants in this country. More than an honor, it's a commitment now. Now the fight just began. We cannot stop doing what we're doing. We got to continue. There's work to be done. There's still people out there that need our help, and we have to continue doing it. I also want to thank, and in behalf of those people, they couldn't make it today because they were afraid to show up, even though they wanted to be here with me. I got a lot to say. Thank you.
Somebody's still collecting your thoughts. I want to say thank you for this award and also to continue the thought that Juan tuvo. There are a lot of people out there that could not come today because they're frightened to come out. And so on behalf of them, I am grateful to receive this award. And also to my friends who have continuously tried to remind me when I think that the glass is half empty, that I should also remember that it's half full. De parte de los que no entienden lo que estaba diciendo, que aquí estoy agradeciendo de parte de la gente que no pudo venir hoy por el miedo de salir y que sí hay mucho trabajo aún que se tiene que hacer. Y también agradeciendo el apoyo de mis amistades que me siempre están acordando que el vaso está no solamente medio vacío, pero medio lleno. Lastly, just wanted to add that when we were told about this award and we tried to pass the word to our friends, they all went, "Oh, you're getting an award, that's great. Who's Cesar Chavez?" And so that is the glass half empty. There's still a lot of education work to be done. Entonces, para la gente que les di la información sobre quién era Cesar Chavez, que habíamos recibido un premio, mis amistades me decían, bueno, eso es muy bueno, pero ¿quién es Cesar Chavez? Entonces digo que el vaso está vacío, medio vacío, y aún hay mucho trabajo de educación que se tiene que seguir haciendo. Muchas gracias.
I'm not much good at this. Bueno, sí se puede, ¿verdad? Se puede, pero no lo podemos hacer solos. We certainly can do it, yes we can, but we can't do it alone. And as I look back at everything that's led up to this moment for me, I think about Luisa Rocha, and how proud I am to be standing with her today. Because when I came to Portland, I was one of few Latin Americans. I was one of few of the people of color in the city. I was back in 1987, and Luisa and I met. I can't remember how, and she taught me radio, and I did the Latino show. Pues si no hubiese sido por ella, entonces no llego a tener un programa de radio. Ella fue la que me enseñó a hacer el programa y me siento muy orgullosa de estar aquí con ella hoy. Y la primera vez que oí a Juan González hablar, me sentí muy orgullosa de que teníamos una persona que podía decir las cosas tan clara y colaborar tan bien con toda la gente. I felt so proud to be knowing that there was somebody in the city like Juan Gonzalez who could speak so clearly to everyone and always talked about working together with everybody and then actually did it. You know, he actually did work together with everybody. So, you know, no lo podemos hacer solos. Nos necesitamos. We need all of our allies. We need Rachel. We need Mike Miles, who's been my friend and, you know, mentor. We need people like my husband who can, like, you know, really just be supportive of me at home. We all need those kinds of things. We all need so much support. Thank you. You know,
Well, that concludes our program. I want to say on behalf of Mayor Nathan Smith, that we really thank you for coming out tonight, particularly in tonight's weather. We hope that through this ceremony and these awards that you take a moment to remember and in some cases learn about Cesar Chavez, tireless civil rights leader. I want to thank Winston McGill, Grace Alexander, the Reverend Virginia Kong, and particularly the United States Postal Service through Mike Fortunato's efforts, Tanya Roy, and Leanne Pears. We really hope that you'll stay to enjoy the great food that La Bodega has catered and join us for a reception. Thank you again.